what you want to hear, but exactly what you need to hear. This is the Sports Source.
All right, more of what you need to hear coming up this segment, and it's brought to you by A.G. Heinz Company, a family-owned business for 4 generations. You are not going to find many companies in this country that are 4 generations old. That just doesn't happen. That's A.G. Heinz Company, though. The best supplier of building materials and tools in all of East Tennessee. If you're a do-it-yourself guy, you got a home improvement project, these are the folks to start with. You can visit their store in downtown Knoxville where they're still doing all of the social distancing, or you can see them online at agheinz.com, or you can call them right there on that phone number, agheinz.com. But A.G. Heinz Company, just really, really good people. I'm so happy they're part of our show. All right, this is our Hot Read segment. 2 quick questions for you. And the first one, we'll start with what Tony Barnhart, legendary college football writer, TV guy, radio guy, had to say. Based on what we saw today, Harrison Bailey looks like the quarterback for Tennessee moving forward. But do you give a freshman his first career start against Alabama? I'll play off that a little bit. We won't leave it just Bailey versus Garantano. Garantano with the 2 pick sixes, horrible. He's turned it. One thing that he had always done, even through his ups and downs, he hadn't been a turnover machine. The last 2 games, he's turned into a turnover machine. Now, a couple of them may not have been his fault, but still, overall, you're the quarterback, 7 turnovers, 6 of them when he's in there. That ain't good. Who's your quarterback going against Alabama? And I'll give you the opportunity, not just Bailey or Garantano. Is it Shrout? Is it Maurer? Who's your quarterback against Alabama, gentlemen?
I guess who's my most athletic quarterback? Who can run the best? I mean,
I
really look at it. I mean, you look at what Kentucky did last year. They took a wide receiver and turned him into a quarterback. I'm looking at who's the most athletic guy that we can. He's a threat. If he hands it off, he can also take it and run with it. I'm looking at that guy because I'm not leaving the ground very often in this game because I don't want to get beat by 50. I mean, that's what I'm looking at.
Then it's time to bring Jimmy Holiday back.
Move
him back from receiver.
It may be.
Am I limited to quarterbacks that are on this roster?
Yes, quarterbacks on this roster.
I can't start Manning or Dobbs. I know this is going to sound nuts. I'd probably start Garantano. I would be worried about Trout and Maurer, either one of them, and I get the athletic part of that. The other thing is I don't want to throw somebody in against Alabama and perhaps ruin his confidence. I saw that with Nathan Peterman.
Exactly.
When they started him against Florida. They started Dobbs against Alabama, and he wasn't ready at one point. I don't know that I'd want to go down that road. If I'm going to go with Bailey, I might wait another game. But I would probably start Garantano. I don't think you're going to win it regardless of who you start, and I don't want to mess up the confidence of my probable future quarterback.
Okay. Yeah, your most athletic guy would be Maurer, correct? Yeah. But he's been limited because of injuries. So
plus, he has the history of concussions.
Yes,
they may not, he's still on the team, so that means they're not worried about it. But as a viewer, I would be concerned about putting him in against Alabama.
Right, and your kind of the quandary on this is Garantano is, to me, clearly better off the bench, or he's shown that than he is as a starter. So you factor that in. If Harrison Bailey has a good week of practice, he's going to be in there early in the game, even if he doesn't start. And I'm going to try and say maybe second, third series or something. Okay. Let's do something to give him something to look forward to without risking shattering conference, because that Alabama defense is not the great Alabama defense we've seen in the past.
Okay. One thing that I know drives fans insane is coaches continue to say, well, we go with the guy who gives us the best chance to win. And they look at it and say, how could that be? Let me give you just an idea of what coaches are looking at here. Taking care of the ball. All right, now Garantano in his career, 16 picks, 753, that's 1 every 47 passes. That's 1 every couple of games. That's not a bad number. Shrout, yesterday was his first, 1 out of every 28 passes he's thrown total in his career. But he came close to throwing several last year. Mm-hmm. And then you got Maurer, who's 1 every 15 passes. If you're a head coach and your job depends on this, you're looking at that kind of decision making and you're saying, well, I guess we got to go with the guy who turns it over, who's least likely to turn it over. Garantano's making that very difficult these last 2 weeks, but you know that's what the coaches are thinking. And plus, these guys aren't showing them in practice that they're ahead of Garantano either.
To me, John, it kind of speaks to a bigger issue, and that is you haven't recruited well enough at quarterback and you haven't developed them.
That'll be we're going to talk in the next segment. Which portions of Jeremy Pruitt's third-year team, for all the roster building talk, which portions of his third-year team are better than Butch Jones' third-year team. That's going to make your eyes water. We'll show you that next, I think. Let's do this. Another question, just quickly, about the offensive staff. Is there trouble brewing on the offensive staff for any of these guys? Meaning, Pruitt has made a couple of comments this year about Chaney needing to be a little bit more dedicated to the run. He made a comment yesterday about the interception call, the long throw across the field. He didn't like that. Now, he did say, I'm on headsets. I got it stops with me. Okay. But you've also got Will Friend, who's back in the target zone now because his offensive line with all those 5 stars isn't dominating anybody. And then you've got the question, I had a VFL text me this morning. It's something we covered at the time, multiple times. When Jim Chaney came here, we said, why is he not quarterback coach? The guy's worked from everybody from Drew Brees forward. He's not your quarterback coach. It's Chris Winkie. Is there trouble brewing on the offensive staff, Jimmy?
I would think so. I mean, you've got a head coach questioning the play calling, so he's questioning your offensive coordinator. And, I think there is a concern. And now Pruitt's saying, look, that's on me because I have not communicated well enough to my play caller what I want done. But I do think there's some concerns. I thought when the Chaney should be the quarterback coach because I think your offensive coordinator who's calling plays needs to be in the head of the quarterback. He knows what you want, you know what he wants, and I think that's probably the better marriage than have a separate quarterback coach and having an offensive coordinator that just roams at other positions. So that's just my take.
And don't
Doug,
forget,
agreed.
there's a little bit of a history there, correct? With Jeremy Pruitt having a little bit of problems with some of the coaches on the offensive side of the ball where he's been before and the way he approaches things. So I think that's kind of in his coaching DNA, to tell you the truth.
I think it's also just when you keep hearing they're giving a lot to Garantano to do on the field, to process, to make calls. To me, I just see a guy that has never held up very well having to do a lot on the field as far as making decisions. When he makes decisions, something bad usually happens. And so I just don't understand the philosophy of that, of saying, this guy doesn't do this very well, so let's give him more of it. That to me seems strange, and I keep wondering why I keep hearing that, because it doesn't appear that he's very good at it. So let's take stuff he's good at, give him that, and stop doing this.
I would feel a lot more comfortable about this quarterback if I knew Chaney was the quarterback coach. And I'm sorry to Chris Winkie, but right now you are the quarterback's coach, and we haven't seen any improvement from Jarrett Garantano. None. Seen any improvement from Shrout? We haven't seen Maurer this year, but I'm just not seeing that quarterback group improving as a whole. So I think you have to ask, if you're going to ask questions of Will Friend about the offensive line, you have to ask questions of Chris Winkie about the quarterback situation. All right, when we come back, as I teased earlier, how does this team stack up against Butch Jones' third-year team? We'll show you next.